Good afternoon, collectors and friends. Welcome to the 75th episode of Trading Card Therapy. I am so grateful to be here today. I sincerely appreciate each and every one of you who've listened for even just a second or two at some point in the previous 74 episodes. You guys know that I'm a card nerd. I call myself the doctor. The reality of it is I'm a doctor of nothing, but I do know a lot about vintage sports cards. So if you enjoy vintage sports cards, you enjoy maybe hearing about some of my adventures, the collections I come across, some of my thoughts about the hobby at large, this might be the podcast for you. And as a special thank you, because it is my 75th episode. Can't believe it. We are doing a fun giveaway. We are going to give away two different prizes. The first one is going to be a $75 break credit to my other company, vintagebreaks.com. We open up vintage cards, some modern. We have dozens of set breaks available. Check us out when you get a chance. vintagebreaks.com. So that'll be the first prize, a $75 break credit to our website. You can buy any breaks at all. No cost out of pocket for you whatsoever. The second prize is going to be a $75 credit to my Just Collect eBay store. So on eBay, you can find us under the username just_collect. We have about 1,000 graded cards, probably $500,000 or so in inventory, give or take. And so that $75 can be used to buy a graded card that is $75 or less. And of course, if it's less, you can equal $75. Or if you'd like to treat yourself to a little bit more of an expensive card, you can take $75 off the price of one of the cards that we have on eBay. And the way to enter both of these giveaways is as follows. Very simply, please let us know in the comments what you are currently collecting. Say hi, your name, what you're currently collecting. And if you don't currently collect, just let us know something that you've collected in your past. We're going to select two winners at random, and we will announce them to start off next week's 76th episode of Trading Card Therapy. All right, we're going to get right into it. We're going to start off with something really fun because I figured this is an anniversary episode. And even though it's not 75 years, believe it or not, I am about to show you my Little League photo, so you'll start to be able to date me, from 35 years ago. That's right. I'm about to show you my team photo of my Manalapan Little League team in the spring of 1989. And it features a couple guys that I'm still in touch with. One of them is my best friend, or one of my best friends to this day. I'm going to show you where I am right here. Actually, before I point out where I am, I'm just going to show it to you. So this is my Little League photo from 35 years ago. And I'm going to do another close-up here, just in case it's a little bit better. Oh, there you go. So this guy right here is my really good buddy, Jeff Minnick. And, we've been friends, Jesus criminy, for about 35 years. Mike Perone, we don't talk as regularly, but, great guy and entrepreneur as well. Brian Capiti had a really cute sister. I remember in my keyboarding class. Sean Peters used to live around the block from me. We played a lot of sports together. Let's see who else. Dan Bazika, may rest in peace, unfortunately. That's his father. So anyway, there is me. I will bring it a little bit closer. I don't know what's going on with the way I'm wearing those pants. What's going on with my hair. But nonetheless, this is my 35-year anniversary of my Little League picture from 1989. I thought you would get a kick out of that. If you kept any of your old Little League photos, let me know in the chat. Curious if I'm the only one. I recently went away with my son for about a week vacation. And I explained to him that, Daddy has a stop to make in the Boston, or just near Boston area On our way, we stayed in the Boston vicinity for a little bit, and then we went up to York and Portland, Maine. We had both never been to Maine. Along the way, we met with a gentleman by the name of Kevin. Kevin inherited a collection when he was actually about Crosby's age. So my son's about 9. Kevin, when he was about 9 years old, inherited from his grandfather a collection of mainly T206 tobacco cards. And what's interesting is Kevin, for his portion, got probably about a few hundred cards. Kevin also believes that there was more. He doesn't know if other cards were lost through time, if they were given away to other members in the family. But Kevin's cards were stored specifically in this tin that his grandfather gave him when he gave him the cards. And interesting enough, and I know I'm fast forwarding here, when we were done and we were able to reach a deal on these cards, he asked me for this tin back so that he could hang on to a piece of his grandfather. And we are going to send that back after this episode of Trading Card Therapy, but we're going to do so with a little bit of surprise for Kevin so that he can remember his grandfather, not just by the tin, but seeing as how he's near Boston, we are going to be shipping him a T206 card of Lord from the Boston Americans, along with the tin back. So all of the cards were stored in the tin for, probably the last, I'd say 60 years or so. And what's really fun about this story, Kevin told me that when he was just a young pup, he said a teen, like early 20s, he said he remembers dating a very attractive woman that he didn't want to lose. I never asked him, by the way, if that was his wife or not. But nonetheless, he said that having a car back then was imperative. And his engine just went. He didn't know what to do. He was beside himself. So he took this group of cards, which, by the way, we bought, and we're going to talk about the amount in a minute. But he took the same group of cards to a local individual all those years ago and was offered $700. He somehow figured out a way to not take the money, still get the car fixed. And he said after he was able to hold on to the cards through that, he knew they were going to be with him for quite some time. He said he's not much of a collector himself, but he knew the cards had real value, and they meant a lot to him, to hold on to them for so long. But he said that he had started to do some research. He doesn't really look at them. He was curious what the value was, and he had a rough number in mind of what he might be happy with if he decided to sell the cards. I'm just going to show off some of the highlights today. And what makes this deal in particular very, very special to me is my son Crosby was with me. And it's the first time he's ever been with me, his dad, on a treasure hunt. But I'm going to explain to you how this deal unfolded and why it was really fun for us. So we're going through the cards. I give Kevin the explanation, and the cards originally were displayed all over the table like that. We were looking through the cards, meaning Kevin and I. Crosby didn't really care so much what was going on. I tried to share it with him. He listened for a second. And then, just kind of went on our way, finished up, and gave Kevin the information. And, John explained to me Kevin may or may not sell, but hey, you're going up there anyway. You're going to pass him kind of on your way to Maine. Why don't you check it out? Sure. So I kind of forgot that at the time. So when we started to talk turkey, and he said, I want to think about it. I think I have a number in mind, but I wanted to digest this all. So I said, no problem. We're going to be leaving town on Thursday morning. This is a Tuesday. We're busy all day tomorrow, and on Thursday morning, we'll be in the area for a little bit, and then we're going to start driving to Maine. I did say to him that I was happy to share with him my evaluation. I would email it to him later on that evening. So I did. Didn't hear from him all of Wednesday. And on Thursday, asked John Palmers, our vice president, to reach out to Kevin because I never got a response back from Kevin acknowledging he actually got the evaluation in the email. And in that email, I had asked Kevin, I said, Kev, you had mentioned that, there was a number that you might have in mind for the collection. I don't know how far off we are, but would love to know what you were thinking. So I don't hear from him. John reaches out, and Crosby and I are starting to pack up the room, get our breakfast, and, make our way to Maine. He said, late, I talked to Kev. He told me what he was looking for. He said, if you could do $15,000, he'll sell you the cards. It was a little bit more than we offered, not too much more. And I think Kevin really just needed the time to process and potentially think about letting go of the cards. It meant a lot to him, spiritually, emotionally. Clearly, if he needed the money, he would have sold the cards maybe when he needed $700 all those years ago. But the joking aside, Kevin and our company, Just Collect, reached a deal. John was kind of the intermediary there. And Kevin also was kind enough to agree. He said, I don't want to slow these guys down. I'm just going to hop on over to the hotel and meet them. Really nice of him. So we go through the cards, and I'm just going to show you a couple of the highlights today. I think we already started sending a couple cards out for grading, but nonetheless, you'll be able to see the full story and read about it on our blog at blog.justcollect.com. And if you want to see just the video about the collection, you could do that on my Just Collect YouTube channel. So there's a couple Cobbs. The red is much nicer than the bat on shoulder. There was all three of the Cy Youngs. Always love the portrait. I think there might have been one more Mathewson. Love the Knapp portrait. There's a Tris Speaker, which is great because the collection comes out of Boston. And here are the two cards that I really dig. So number one is the Kid Elberfeld, but this one in particular is interesting because it's the Washington variation, meaning it's the much tougher of the two. I believe his other team is New York. And so the portrait variation comes with both teams, New York or Washington. This is the tougher of the two. As you can see, it's like a nice, pleasing VG. Sweet cat back. But speaking of backs, there's no rare backs really in the collection. But if you check out this three-finger Mordecai Brown, Hall of Famer, it's like a nice solid VG. You flip it over, and what do we have here at the bottom? Which normally is just the factory. Like so. Factory number 30. And then the next little thing here is an overprint. But then if you look, there's yet another factory 42. So this is a double factory T206 sweet cat back of a Hall of Famer 350 460 series. I don't think they're that common. They're not rare, but I don't think they're that common. So that's super cool. And one of the other cards, you can see here just a bunch of other Hall of Famers and stars. But one of the other cards that means a lot to me, and I'm going to put a picture of my son up. So we were done with the deal, and I explained to Kevin that we're going to send back, the tin to him, and that I was likely going to, keep a card for my son and give it to him because this is really his first deal. So Crosby was excited. Kevin seemed to be giddy about it. And as you can see from the photo of myself, Kevin, and Crosby, we all had a great time. And I was joking with Kevin at the end. I said, because when we asked Kevin to kind of put our arms around Cros, I said, you mind if we call you Uncle Kevin? He said, no problem. If you're ever back in the area, let me know. Real swell guy. Just couldn't have been any more welcoming to my son and I. And, these are the kinds of memories that are going to be so important for my son as he gets older. Just some of these adventures, not always about, going to the amusement park or buying a new toy, but it's about the journey. And that's what I've been really stressing to him. It's not always about the outcome or getting to Maine, but let's sing songs. Let's be silly. Let's play games in the car. We're not always going to be doing baseball card deals together, but in this particular case, we did. And I've chosen the T206 John McGraw, no cap, New York red portrait, because he does have another portrait in the set, to give to my son because it's from New York. That's, we're generally spending most of our lives in New Jersey or New York, although he does get treated at Chop in Philly. And it's just got a regular back, but we will get it graded for him because he now knows all about grading. we are about to send in Crosby's first ever package to PSA. We're going to send in this, but in a separate package, he's sending in a number of his, that's right, one-piece cards. He's really into the show. So that is the Boston collection. I wanted to cover a couple other things in today's episodes, and of course, just a reminder about our special 75th episode giveaway. We're giving away two prizes, $75 break credit and a $75 credit to the Just Collect eBay store. All next week will be given away on our Trading Card Therapy episode. The only way to have a chance to win, just very simply comment in the YouTube chat what you are currently collecting, and if you no longer are currently collecting, just let us know something that you've collected in the past. So I wanted to give my buddy Cage, if you don't listen to him, check out his podcast, The Hobby with Cage. I think he does at least one a week, sometimes a couple. I'm not sure exactly of his schedule. But he's a great dude, a lot of fun to listen to. I often listen to his content. And I listened to a recent episode of his where he was talking about the East Coast National. And I was not up there. I normally would be, but I was not there because it was the same weekend as Fanatics Fest. Yes, the Fanatics Fest where we found and discovered the 1935 Gowdy uncut sheet featuring Babe Ruth that we talked about in a recent episode. So Cage is telling me about, sharing the story over his podcast about the East Coast National. And he met some, youngish kid. When I say youngish kid, I don't know if he's 12, 15, but that's kind of like what I envision. And I think Cage's son's a little bit younger, maybe 11 or so, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he's sharing the story and saying, he's got some kid. He comes up to the booth and, I don't know if they work out a deal at first, but the kid asked Cage, like, are you buying anything? And, Cage said, no, I'm not really looking for anything. But then David of Wax Stars, who I guess they're sharing a little booth, is next door. And the kid asked David, David, what are you looking for? And David says, I want a Tua Prism something or other, PSA 9. I'm making it up, but it was a Tua. He might have said how much he'll pay. I'm not sure exactly, but the kid bought one for $10 and he came over to David and he sold it for 15. And, the kid had like a lot of spunk. I could gather, a lot of energy, maybe Cage envisioned himself right in this kid or his own kid as his kid. And, he's asking this kid some questions about hustling and how he does it. And it's fascinating. Like I said, if you want to check out the full episode, check out The Hobby with Cage. It's a great listen. But anyway, the part that really kind of struck me was that there was, I guess, some deal that the kid did at the show. It was for $40, and it was like a trade, I guess. And as part of this trade, remember, $40 deal for some is a big deal. For this kid, it might have been a big deal. So he does a deal with a dealer. I don't exactly know what gets traded, but the kid, as part of this $40 deal, gives a few unlicensed Donald Trump Kaboom cards. Now, if you know anything about the hobby, it is very unlikely that there is licensed Donald Trump Kaboom cards from Panini. Nonetheless, they do the deal. The kid's pumped. He tells Cage about this trade. And I don't exactly know what happened, but the guy the cards are traded to, the dealer, didn't realize, or maybe he did realize, but just had trader's remorse after. I don't know. But the way the Cage is making it seem is the dealer's pissed off and he's looking for this kid. Like he wants this kid's head on a platter. And he finds the kid. Kid's super upset, doesn't know what to do, starts crying apparently at the show. And now, of course, like all this business that's being done, as Cage describes it, comes to a grinding halt. You can imagine how uncomfortable this is for the kid. By the way, he's not there with his parents. I could certainly picture myself in the spot because when I was a kid, my dad would drop me off, let's say 1 o'clock at the show. He'd go like this. You'll be out here at 3:15. You don't be late. And I knew if I was late, I just wasn't going to go to any more shows. But anyway, kid's really upset. And when Cage starts to tell the story with some more details, I thought it was going in one direction, not another. You're going to see what I mean in a minute. So the dealer's making like a big to-do, brouhaha. And obviously, even if he's right or wrong, it's really just not a great practice to make like 12-year-old kids cry. I mean, I could tell you, like, I don't try to make my son cry. I certainly don't want to try to make other kids cry. I guess the dealer crosses paths with Cage, and Cage explains it as he's got some sort of dollar box he brings to the show. He's very easygoing about it. He doesn't do this full time. He's collecting. He's with his son. He's just trying to have some fun, maybe bring some money back in. They're only going to buy more boxes or whatever. I don't exactly know how it goes down, but the guy just keeps saying, I want my $40. I want my $40. So Cage, out of the goodness of his heart, just trying to like make everyone happy, stop the, the insanity, says, you know what, buddy? I got like, I don't even know how many cards left in this dollar box, but a lot. I had a great time with my son today. I'm going to give you the rest of the box. When Cage said this, I rewound it because I thought I misunderstood. I was thinking that Cage gave the box of these dollar cards to the kid to make him stop crying. But I understand what Cage did and why he did it. Meaning, if the dealer's out $40, the kid doesn't have the $40 to give. No one's volunteering to give the guy $40 because he's so upset. He's not undoing the deal. By the way, the reason why the kid can't undo the deal with the Donald Trump Kaboom cards is because the kid took the $40 of cards he got and he flipped them. That's what he does. Instead, he makes like $100 a show or $150. I mean, to me, sounds like a great way to learn about business and how to interact with people. I can only hope my son does this stuff one day. Cage is talking to the dealer once again, who made the kid cry, which is why I don't really quite understand he did this. But Cage decides to gift the balance, and I'm just going to say, like, there's hundreds of cards. There might be 1,000 cards. I didn't quite understand because Cage is talking kind of fast. But the point is, Cage is gifting this dealer who made this kid cry, obviously something way in excess of the $40. So at first, the guy's like, oh, thanks so much. But you wouldn't believe it. The guy still wants the $40 from the kid. So Cage is like beside himself. Anyway, I was telling you the story because I thought it was at the very least interesting. I couldn't imagine not wanting to try to take care of this kid, especially it's $40, not $400, not $4,000. Right? If you're a dealer, like, there's a cost of doing business. Like if you own any business, sometimes shit happens, they say. And so anyway, I thought what Cage did was great. And then this was unfortunate also, just because I listened to it and it's still in my mind. The kid came up to Cage at the end. He's still upset. I don't know if he's still crying. He says, I'm sorry, but I don't have anyone here. I'm a little bit scared to go outside, like to walk to wherever he's got to walk to meet whoever's picking him up. Like, I don't know if the dealer's going to be yelling at me. Can you walk me? And, I heard this. It really breaks my heart for, so many different reasons. And it really was Cage. Great job, trying to bring the peace to the situation. But I'm going to finish up with this. Is it time, with the amount of activity, the amount of dollars that are being transacted, that our industry, and it's been talked about before, I'm not the first, I won't be the last to talk about it. Should there be some sort of dealer association? Because the reality of it is, if you went to the person running the show, and I know the folks who run East Coast National, Joe Drellick and Jimmy Ryan, they might try to step in. I don't know exactly what they would do. I don't know if they would have done a better job than what Cage did. So it got me thinking that wouldn't you like to know, for example, the next big convention you go to, if there's 200 dealers, it may not matter what I owed it to you. I want to know in the comments. But if they joined the Baseball Card Dealer Association America, and there was, some rules that they had to follow to stay in this organization, which obviously won't have the same amount of respect on day one that it would in year 10, right? But to me, if that dealer was in the dealer association, he acted like that, you're done. And that's not going to be good for his business. So what I'm asking you is, do you think it's time that our industry has some sort of, and to be fair, I think there could be different pockets. So you can, if you're an auction house, you're not an individual, right? So Ken Golden could have his auction house, Golden Auctions, be part of the auction house dealer association. Okay. But then if Ken Golden, the individual, wants to be part of the dealer association, he could apply for that as well. Of course, this is going to take work and money and resources and all that kind of stuff. And I was just thinking, at the very least, to solve simple problems like this at a convention, or as they get more complicated. Someone contacted me from the vintage breaks community yesterday. Did a big trade with someone. Didn't know how to get the insurance for his cards and what to do properly. Now, keep in mind, there's Reddit. You can ask questions on Facebook and all this kind of stuff. But I think that it might be time for our industry to have some sort of dealer association, auction house association, maybe even a formal collectors association, So you don't have to have a certain amount of money. Maybe there's an administration or a membership fee, but meaning your collection doesn't have to be a certain size. But if you want to be able to get the benefits from this particular association, the benefits might be reduced tickets to conventions, a free month of card ladder. Who knows? Just think that there's something there. And I would love to hear from you, the audience. What are your thoughts on the subject? With that, we're going to wrap up our 75th episode of Trading Card Therapy. I really appreciate all of you who have been part of the journey so far, and I look forward to another 75 episodes in the future.